Welcome to today's explainer. We're going to unlock what is essentially a linguistic skeleton key, the master Latin root manus. If you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the sheer volume of complex vocabulary in the English language, you are definitely not alone. But rather than memorizing thousands of separate definitions, we're going to see how mastering just this one ancient code can completely transform your understanding of the words you use every single day. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll meet the root manus, trace its ancient Roman origins, unpack the big idea, look at essential root variants, uncover some hidden root relatives, and finally map out the whole manus family tree. Let's get into it. First up, meet the root manus, the absolute foundation of it all. Take a second and really think about your daily routine. Try to imagine navigating the world without using your hands at all. Think about the specific grip of your fingers on a pen when you're writing, or the exact twist of your wrist you need to just open a door. Think about the crazy dexterity it takes to build a shelter or paint a picture, or even just that simple universal gesture of waving hello to a friend. Our hands are literally the fundamental biological tools we rely on to create, communicate, and explore our physical world. Because the hand is just so undeniably essential to the human experience, thousands of years ago, the ancient Romans used the Latin word manus, pronounced manus in Latin and often manu in English roots, which simply means hand. So why does this ancient word matter to us right now? Well, as the Roman Empire expanded, they took their language with them, baking it deep into the institutions of law, science, and academia across Europe. Today, that single resilient root survives as this glowing golden thread, connecting hundreds upon hundreds of modern English words. And learning this one root is just incredibly efficient. You aren't just memorizing some random, isolated list of terms. You're actually unlocking an entire interconnected family of vocabulary used in highly specialized fields. We're talking about a surgeon performing a delicate operation, a civil engineer analyzing structural loads, a computer scientist building a high-tech robot, or even a student stepping up to the microphone at a spelling bee. They are all relying on vocabulary derived from this exact same root. Moving on to part 2, Ancient Roman Origins, a journey back in time. Let's actually immerse ourselves in a typical day in ancient Rome to see just how foundational this was. Picture this. At dawn, a craftsman begins his morning shaping wet clay into a beautiful piece of pottery with his bare hands. Fast forward to midday, in a noisy, bustling marketplace, a merchant is carefully counting out heavy copper coins by hand. And by late afternoon, surrounded by the smell of melting wax, a scribe sits quietly, painstakingly copying legal texts onto tablets by hand. Whether it was a soldier holding a shield or an artist laying a mosaic, the Romans used one simple word for all of these everyday physical actions: manus. But here's where it gets really interesting. Manus quickly evolved to mean way more than just the physical body part at the end of your arm. Since the hand is the primary way we exert our will on our surroundings, the concept expanded beautifully to symbolize power, authority, possession, and incredible craftsmanship. In ancient Roman law, for example, the physical act of handing an object over, literally placing it into another person's manus, meant transferring total ownership, legal responsibility, and sovereign authority directly to them. Which brings us to Section 3, the big idea, the magical toolbox. As the centuries passed and Latin spread across Europe, integrating into French and eventually right into English, it brought along this concept of the hand as the ultimate foundational tool. Picture a magical toolbox in your mind. Inside, every single tool represents a different word. When you pull out a pen, it represents manuscript, a document painstakingly created by hand. When you grab a heavy wrench, it represents manufacture, making something physical by hand. And if you pull out a puppet on strings, that represents manipulate, controlling something carefully and deliberately by hand. Okay, let's do a quick mini challenge. Look closely at these 3 everyday words: manicure, manumit, and manual. At first glance, they seem to belong in totally different worlds, right? You've got a salon, a history textbook, and a car's transmission, but they share a deep historical connection that goes back thousands of years. If you guessed that they all connect back to the core idea of the hand, you're absolutely right. A manicure is specifically the care and treatment for the hands. Manual labor is physical work explicitly done with the hands. And manumit, which we'll explore shortly, is the historical act of releasing someone from your hands. Just imagine an enormous, glowing, golden hand floating in your mind with bright lines connecting it to all these words. The spelling might shift a bit, but that core idea remains incredibly solid. Next up, Section 4, Essential Root Variants. or the shapes of the hand.
You see, languages are living, breathing things. Over hundreds of years, they naturally shorten, combine, and reshape their roots. So recognizing these slight variations is a total secret weapon. As the language evolved, the original root took on four main forms. First, we have the original manus, seen in historical contexts like manuscript. Second is manu, which is the most common English form, like in manufacture. Third is the shortened form man, which you'll spot in words like manage. And finally, manip, derived from the Latin for a handful, which gives us words like manipulate. Even when the exact spelling shifts slightly, the core DNA of the word is completely intact.
Now for Section 5, Hidden Root Relatives. Think of this as the detective's challenge. Champion spellers and expert readers always look beyond the obvious. Take the everyday word manage. It actually comes to us through the Italian word metigere, which literally meant to handle something by hand, particularly holding the reins of a horse. It's a pretty fascinating leap from controlling a horse's reins to managing a modern corporate team, though depending on the team, it might feel exactly the same. Then we have manumit. This breaks down to sending something from the hand, which historically meant to legally release or free a slave. And finally, a manacle, those heavy iron restraints designed specifically to bind the hands. Here's another word detective question for you. Consider a word we use constantly in academia and publishing: manuscript. When you read a modern novel or look at a typed screenplay, we still call it a manuscript. But why exactly does a word about writing have hand baked right into its linguistic DNA? Well, because when we break down the morphology, it literally translates to written by hand. The root manus means hand and script means written. It's a beautiful echo of the past. Before the invention of the printing press, every single book, scroll, and legal document in the world had to be painstakingly and laboriously created entirely by hand. It really honors the sheer human effort required by those ancient scribes working late into the afternoon. Let's pull this all together in Section 6, the Manus family map, connecting all the branches. Just look at the sheer diversity on this family tree. It is truly amazing to pause and marvel at how one single ancient Roman concept spiderwebbed into completely different modern disciplines. Whether you're using everyday words like manual and manage in daily life, utilizing academic vocabulary like manufacture or manipulation in a university essay, or tackling highly advanced spelling bee terms like manuduction, which literally means the act of guiding someone by the hand, they all grow beautifully from this single, powerful branch. To truly master this, I highly recommend internalizing this motto. Let this be your guiding principle whenever you read. As elegant and expressive as a Bharatanatyam hand mudra, when you see manus, think hand, and immediately ask yourself, what is the hand doing? Is it making something? Is it controlling a situation? Is it writing a text? The answer to that simple question will almost always unlock the definition of the word for you. This single root formula permanently changes how you see the English language. You aren't just memorizing random letters anymore. You are tracing the history of human action right back to ancient Rome. The next time you type an email, turn a steering wheel, or shake a friend's hand, remember the ancient history hidden right there in your fingertips. Armed with this magical toolbox, which Manus word will your hands master next?